On the night of April 14th, 1912, the Titanic sailed silently across the North Atlantic. The sky was clear, the stars shone, and the sea seemed like a mirror. Nothing hinted that the greatest maritime tragedy of the era was about to unfold. Just before midnight, the ship collided with an iceberg. The impact was not a cinematic crash, but a long, cold metallic scrape, almost imperceptible to most passengers. Many didn't even realize something serious had happened. While laughter still filled the grand hall and the orchestra played, water was already flooding the lower compartments. The Titanic had been designed to withstand 4 flooded compartments, but the iceberg opened 5 at once. Its fate was sealed, though almost no one on board understood it yet. Only the engineers and officers knew. The ship was going to sink. On the upper decks, nothing seemed amiss. But in the third-class corridors, the water was already covering passengers' feet. Some hurried upstairs in fear. Others still thought it was just a small leak. This false sense of security delayed any real reaction. Only when crew members began organizing the lifeboats did the gravity of the situation start to sink in. Still, many hesitated. Belief in the Titanic's unsinkable nature meant the first lifeboats were launched almost empty. They could hold over 60 people, but left with only 20 or 30. Few were willing to trade the comfort of a huge illuminated ship for a small boat in the freezing ocean. If you were an adult man, your chances were already slim. The rule was clear: women and children first. But something changed the atmosphere of hesitation. Water began to flood the main deck, running down the steps and reaching the feet and ankles of those who were still watching in disbelief. The shock was instant. There was no longer any way to deny it. A biting cold swept through the crowd, and the murmur of disbelief turned into screams of panic. The reality finally set in. The Titanic was sinking. Minute by minute, the ship tilted further. Glasses slid, furniture toppled, and the atmosphere of celebration gave way to panic. Screams echoed across the decks. Some prayed. Others tried bribing officers for a spot on a lifeboat. You might think to run, push, or squeeze through to secure a place, but the crowd blocked the passages. Strength or cleverness could not change the fact. There simply weren't enough lifeboats. Below deck, the situation was even more dire. Water rose quickly, forcing many to swim inside the ship. The cold was unbearable, paralyzing. Anyone who hesitated had almost no chance. The Titanic sank by the bow, raising the stern like a towering wall of iron against the sky. By around 2 in the morning, the end was inevitable. The last lifeboats had departed. Funnels trembled, metal groaned, and the massive structure began to break apart. People clung to each other in utter despair. Then, a final crash. The ship split in 2, and what remained of the immense structure sank into the sea. Unlike in the movies, there was no light until the end. The generator failed, and everything plunged into darkness. Only the moon illuminated the scene. In the water, the sight was terrifying. Hundreds of people floated, trying to cling to debris. The water temperature, around -2 degrees Celsius, was a death sentence. In less than 15 minutes, muscles failed. Even if you found a plank or piece of wood, surviving was almost impossible. The screams were deafening at first. Thousands cried for help, pleading for rescue. But over time, the night swallowed every voice. The cold overcame one by one, until only the sound of the ocean remained, and a few survivors in lifeboats looked horrified into the void. Over 1,500 people died that night, and it didn't matter if someone was strong, clever, or brave. The Titanic gave no chances. The harsh truth is this: no matter how hard you try to fight the cold, the crowd, or the darkness, the odds were nearly certain. You would not survive the disaster of the Titanic.